Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Happy, what day is today? Wednesday, hump day. I hope you guys are, we're halfway through November now, eh? That month kind of disappearing quickly. So, hope you guys are doing okay. Let's see. Where should we start today's adventure? We had TRI Secret Options Formula Club meeting last night. And actually, you know what I think is the best trade right now in the market, which is kind of ironic. Looks like it's the old risk-off trade. We got yen, bonds, gold, all putting in bottoms, all rocking and rolling. And actually, the trade that I like the most right now, I love gambling stocks. And interesting here, right? This would be nothing more than a, we'll come to this in a bit. I mean, I think there's a great story here. I don't think I've talked to you guys about this before, but anyway, I did watch a really interesting interview with the CEO of this company, or maybe he's the CFO. And he's very, very bullish. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about gambling stocks. And I don't know whether I've talked to you guys before about how they usually act in recessions, but usually they outperform. In fact, actually, somebody was asking in the day trader room this morning, so what should do well in recessions? And unfortunately, the answer is Vice. Vice usually does the best. So anyway. We also talked, and I really like this idea, although I'm not quite sure how to trade it. But I really like the idea of being long gold and short oil. And in a weird sort of way, that is basically this conversation. This is one half of it. So you can see the big bottom in gold. And of course, that was that tight little consolidation we were talking about a week or two ago before the election. You can see the end result. And because the market didn't go absolutely apeshit on election night or anything along those lines, I don't think that this trade is over by any stretch. Nice turn in the bond market. We were commenting last night about how it sure looks like bonds have turned. Then as sort of, I think, a proxy on the Chinese economy, because it feels like the Chinese economy, they're trying to reopen, maybe back off a little bit on the whole lockdown thing as well, too. There's talk about government intervention in their real estate market to try and prop up the developers. So you might be seeing sort of a reflation of the Asian economies, and the yen might be a good proxy on that. But you can see, unfortunately, there's a good old Bitcoin. But I suppose if anything, stocks are doing the best out of risk assets. But look at that oil market, eh? Does that not look like it's about to fall off a cliff here? So this oil peak and the gold bull here, right? That's what this chart is. And gee whiz, that sure looks compelling. I don't know how to get this trade on though. So anybody who's watching this later on, especially all you option gurus, spread traders, how can we put a bull call spread on this spread of long gold and short oil? I don't know, but wow, what an interesting looking chart. So there's the start of your conversation for the day. What kind of market is? I think, in fact, actually, I was going to put this tweet out. For some reason, I just never got around to it this morning. But what kind of market? What's the hot part of the market right now? The hot part of the market right now is risk off. It is not risk on. And interesting, somebody mentions Heineken there. Again, if you're thinking Vice, that's along the same lines. Where was that? I guess that was here. Budweiser. That's probably a really good proxy on Vice, alcohol, of course, alcohol consumption. And of course, these guys, like I said, they do pretty well in recessionary time periods. And I mean, you look at this chart, it sort of writes itself. There was a beautiful buying window down there. Keep in mind, this is a weekly price chart. I don't know whether we can justify chasing it there, but you might want to take a look at Vice. Maybe if we're lucky, we get a nice little counter trend rally in the broader stock market, and this comes down, fills in gaps. But there is Budweiser. You can see from 2016, 2017. Which is where I think you could actually make the argument that the stock market and the economy really started to ramp up in big time. This thing started to break down, right? And in really shitty times, right? There's 2011, 2012 kind of idea. The whole Obama presidency, I suppose you could argue, socialism was on the rise. And the economy was sputtering along with all the quantitative easing and all that stuff. Now growth wasn't really growing. Alcohol stocks did really well. And of course, Mr. Trump came along. Let's make America great again. Let's start growing. And huge rallies. So as a result, these conservative risk off bets kind of underperform. I think you could probably somewhere in there. Come on, there we go. Do like chaos levels. And 2.618, what a surprise, market pivot. So we should probably actually rally right back up and kiss this original breakdown level. And you can see how that structurally is the top there, and that's also the top of value. So interesting, the trades that I kind of like right now. I think I might just add this onto the screen just so we can keep an eye on it. Let's see how this develops over the next year or two. Anyway, that's sort of your preview of what sort of the end message of this broadcast is. But of course, we should always start sort of at the beginning. Once upon a time, what the hell's going on in the world? News-wise, I was quite surprised to hear that a errant missile, I guess it is now, from the Ukraine-Russian conflict, landed in Poland yesterday and actually killed a couple people. Took out a grain silo. Poor grain. Grain never hurt anybody. What the hell, man? Anyway, and the whole market. And I remember I had like a day trade long position on ES, and I got blown out because of that news. The whole damn market tanked and started to head to the downside. And I had a couple people, somebody on social media point out, and then, of course, in the day trader room this morning, Brian, there were some gaps to the downside that needed filling in. Sure enough, they got filled in. So sort of finishing off last night, or I guess, yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, we were heading into the TRI Secret Options Formula Club meeting. A little bit late, but I think we still had a pretty productive meeting. Great job, David and Ryan. Of course, you guys are all stars. And that was one of the things that was on my mind. You can see through the day, through the night, sort of Poland itself invoked Article 4 of NATO's, whatever constitution, where they had to meet and talk about what the hell just happened and whether there should be a response. And I think the scuttlebutt is that it actually turns out it was Ukraine who accidentally murdered a couple Polish people. Oh, God. You can't write better fiction than reality, eh? Also, too, although I think it happened with kind of a fizzle rather than sort of a boom, the red wave, the red I don't even know what the hell it's called, but U.S. What is it? Election. There we are. U.S. election results. The red. I don't know. Do you call it a wave? I'm not quite sure what you call it. Anyway, the GOP is just inching its way slowly but surely. Can we get to that 218? 217, and I was listening to the pundits last night, and they were saying that there's about 5 contests that are heavily leaning towards the Republicans, but it's just a question of them finalizing the results. So I think we're at the point now. I mean, we still can't officially say that this election's even over yet. There you go. You can see a couple. I don't know whether that's actually finished or whether that's still being counted. From what I understand, if anything, it makes perfect sense that California is kind of left leaning. So what a surprise if it appears that the right wing is going to take over the political landscape. The California is going to drag its heels as much as possible. But hugs and kisses to all our Californians. So there is this backdrop going on, and now it appears like this is going back and forth, back and forth. Now we're at 49. I think the point here is that if the Republicans couldn't take 51 seats, then Biden and good old Camilla, everybody loves Camilla, she'll be the tiebreaker. So even if they can't get above 51, then basically it means that the Senate still sort of stays within the left wing's control. So this whole it was supposed to be a wave, the red wave, and we were all, and even you heard me before the election going, I don't think that the American populace is nearly as socialist. Remember, I specifically said this, that the American populace was as socialist as sort of the last election results kind of intonated. The fact that the House appears to be heading back over to the right wing should kind of put a halt to this absolute runaway deficit spending world that we're living in. So if anything, that's good. But it's not a red wave. In the media now they're calling it the red ripple. So it really wasn't a hell of a lot. And then to add insult to injury, and this is where I was going with all this, look who's come back into the fore. Who announced his run for president in 24. And I got the impression a lot of people are kind of like, oh God, and do they get bullied into voting for him at the voting booth come next election? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, that Biden wins a second term, just because people are gonna like what'll end up happening with Trump here is, and you saw it in the congressional races. I mean, they're actually blaming half of the reason why the Republicans didn't do as well as they kind of had hoped was that there was still a lot of sort of Trump baggage, and then there were a lot of candidates that were kind of like election deniers and all that kind of stuff. And the American populace just doesn't like that. It just is not resonating with the American populace. So in a weird sort of way, you're actually getting a little bit of backlash against Mr. Trump, but some of the right wing is kind of like, fuck, we don't want you, go away. I don't know. What I will say, and this actually happens a lot in Canadian politics, is we have three different political parties, one that's sort of right wing, one that's sort of centrist, left leaning, and then one that's absolute fucking communist, left leaning. And quite often what happens in Canadian politics is the communist left-leaners actually take away from the center-left vote and the right wing gets elected. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen down in the States. I don't even know if there is a left and a right. I mean, I suppose there is. But the point here is that I think what's happening here is Mr. Trump is diluting the right-wing vote to a certain degree, and that's why this kind of thing happened versus the red wave. So anyway, of course, next couple of years should be lots of fun. Mr. Trump now is just going to be constantly poking Sleepy Joe. He might trigger him, who knows. But ironically enough, if Sleepy Joe can just sort of keep his head on straight, and now the right wing sort of takes over Congress, you might find that the American public is happy with that. American public loved that kind of environment through the Clinton years. 8 years there, you had Clinton running the presidency, but you had the Congress right wing. In fact, I guess you could argue even Obama's the better part of Obama's presidency was exactly the same. So the American public likes that division of power. And I wouldn't be surprised if Biden, the question is, does Mr. Biden fall asleep in one of these interviews? That just doesn't play very well. Anyway, let's see how that goes. All right, so Mr. Trump's back on the scene. That was something that happened overnight. Poland could have been sort of a trigger for World War III. Turns out that from calmer heads maybe are prevailing here. And it turns out that that was actually an accident on Ukraine's part. So go figure. Hearing lots of talk, especially on social media. I've told you guys that I kind of like Simon Dixon. I think he's a relatively respectable figure in the crypto universe. And he is I think he actually got burnt a bit by that Celsius. So you're not alone. This guy is a very wealthy gentleman. He's been in Bitcoin basically since day one. You see, he's got almost 100,000 followers. So, he's definitely somebody that is an authority in this space. If you're going to keep track of sort of the players, this is one of the guys I would keep track of. And he's talking about another crypto-related firm tipping over and basically not able to meet customer redemptions. That's classic bank run. And it seems to me we're into that kind of environment here. The sad thing is, though, I hate to say it, folks, and really all of you, you really have to try and learn this. You really do. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And I hate to say it, but the whole damn thing of this yield farming, and you love Sjord. Sjord is an absolutely beautiful programmer. He like literally is like the conductor of the orchestra when he's in the zone programming. But man, poor guy. He got sucked into the yield sort of, wow, 20% guaranteed yield. And my central bank is actually charging me fees to keep my money in the bank. And I think a huge portion of this world got sucked into the trap. And basically my attitude was, and it still is, I remember when Sjord was telling me about this, I was like, well, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And sure enough, all of this, it was all a fraud. And the worst part about it is, well, fraud's a big word. Maybe that's not the right word. I think the crypto kids had the best intentions, but they just don't understand how capital flows work. And so while capital is flowing into the space and this stuff is relatively new and you're in a friendly crypto cycle, bulletproof. You can't lose. The 11,000% annualized return, this is a lock. No problem. You'll make that money without even batting an eyelash. Then the prices go all zooming up. And then, what's worse is they have to keep the shill going. So the asset's gone up like 10x, maybe even 100x. Through the bullish crypto cycle. How do you keep the damn thing going? And it turns out, something like this FTX, well, let's call it creative accounting. Though I hate to say it, but I'm not going to say I told you so, but what I will say is you all have to learn, if something is too good to be true, something like staggering investment returns above basic fixed income yields, and they slap on things like guarantees, it's just a potion for disaster. So we are now in the phase where all of this stuff has to unwind. I have no idea how long it's going to take. The good part about it, and it drives you crazy because, there are some other people here. I guess I didn't tweet about it, but there were people, and some people even in the lounge and stuff. I was kind of making fun of them, which really isn't very fair of me. But there were some people in the lounge posting tweets and stuff. Especially this one right here. I couldn't believe this when I saw this. Like, and what kills you, right? And and um, Justin, of course, in our day trader room, he explained to me, Brian, your marketing sucks horsecocks. That's why you don't have too many likes and followers and subscribers and stuff. It's just it's just a train wreck when it comes to marketing. But I find it fascinating. Let's just go see what this guy's got here. 253,000 followers. That's a couple followers. And he makes a statement like, FTX it has changed my perspective on crypto forever. What? And my response in the lounge, I don't think I tweeted it because it's probably just a little too insulting. But my response to who I think it was Frogsy who posted this in the lounge, I go, you obviously have not been in crypto for very long. If you actually think that there's anything really new or special or different going on here, I mean, God, come on. And then on add insult to injury, this is an unregulated space that is totally venture capital. So to make a statement like, well, what's happened with the FTX has completely changed. Well, you obviously had the wrong perspective on this from day one. And how the fuck do you have 250,000 subscribers and I don't know, millions of minions and shit and all that kind of stuff, and be considered an authority in this space? I don't get it. It just baffles me. And then Brian's, he's got like 53 followers, kind of thing. And I've been barking about the same crap to you guys for 8 bloody years. I mean, there's nothing new here. So let's just all remind everybody exactly what these cycles look like. I mean, there's nothing new. And it's not like, you're all going to go, okay, I've seen this chart 20 times. I actually kind of like that kind of image. I mean, it's remarkable how consistent these patterns are. So for somebody to say, well, this FTX thing completely changes my perspective on crypto, like, what perspective do you have? And who the hell is teaching you? This is so cliche. It's ridiculous. You could make the argument here. We have Mt. Gox. Here we have, things like BitConnect, right? And now we have Luna, FTX, and what's the other one? Celsius, right? And amongst tons of others. And the problem is this little area here with the semicircle here, the little arc here. This is, sadly, and please understand all of this. Every single one of you, like there's every single one of you, and there's only like 10 of you here. I mean, God, this kills me. How the hell did it? It's so frustrating. What am I doing wrong? Why can't I get this message out? Anyway, we'll have our crypto show tonight. And the good part about it is he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. I think he's probably keeping his community out of trouble. Let's see, where is that YouTube page? Let's see if there's anybody over there. There might be a couple people over there too. How do I do that? Just give me a second. Do 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 do. 9 people. Woohoo! Hey, well, there's Adam. Adam's over there. Nuri's over there. And PMA Bull Alex. Actually, PMA Bull Alex, you've been around all these cycles, so you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's nothing new going on here, folks. Nothing new at all. Hey, Josh is over there. Josh, in fact, I remember meeting you in a in a British pub around 2018. So you should all know, or you should know this. Nothing new whatsoever. It's kind of an interesting aside. We are at the exact same place in this cycle as when this happened. What I find kind of interesting is nobody's talking about this thing anymore, right? And I was just curious, like, why don't we have, like, he's obviously something took a video shot of this space car. So why don't we have pictures of this space car orbiting Mars right now? I mean, I did a Google search and it should take about 6 months to get to Mars. So that's what Google says. So this is like, look at the date of this, right? This is February 2018. So theoretically, this thing's been in the orbit of Mars for now, geez, about 2 or 3 years. Why don't we ever hear anything about this? Seems kind of odd, eh? I was a bit stumped by that. I was a bit surprised. It just came to mind. But it's an interesting analogy. Where were you in your life when this? And in essence, we are in the same part of the crypto cycle as when this happened. I don't even know whether you remember that or not. Anyway, that kind of, and I'm the type of guy, I always think about history and sort of, like, why did this just fall off the radar screen? Shouldn't we be getting like regular video shots of the planet Mars? Shouldn't this be like a big red orb that this thing is taking a picture from? Like, what the hell? Anyway, kind of aside. So, your backdrop within the crypto space, ironically enough, it's business as usual. But the problem is, this is the absolute worst part of this entire cycle. There is no other worst part. And, I don't know whether you remember or not, but this is where people blow themselves up. That right there is famously the Mike Hearn rage quit of Bitcoin. Rage quit. That doesn't sound very happy-go-lucky. Yeah, I noticed that you guys are all saying that NASA launch. I was watching it earlier. Do I still have that tab open? No, got rid of it. I was watching it. I think that's over here. This right here. And what's so funny is, like, these people are so amateur. For the first few minutes of this broadcast, like, there's a blast off. First few 2 or 3 minutes, talk about amateur. She's talking away. You can see I have my volume fully up. She didn't even have her microphone on. What the hell's going on? It smacks of amateur. So amateur. Anyway, so yeah, you're right. This big Artemis thing finally got off the ground. I no idea why. Why is it? Well, anyway, it's total nonsense talk. It's not really relevant to anything. But anyway, Brian just wasting time. Okay, so point of the matter here is, this is going to test you. And clearly you can see 9 people over there on YouTube. Wow, look at that. We got like 13 people, 12 people here in the Hangout. So clearly, the days of 100, 200 people watching this video stream, those days are long over. Good part about it here, ironically enough, is if you can keep a level head and you don't blow yourself up, well, we're getting into the phase where the worst of it is almost completely behind us. We just, what we need to do is we need to see the Fed say, all right, we have done enough on interest rates. We are now officially on pause. I don't know whether we're quite there yet or not. Econs that came out today, something that kind of bothers me. U.S. retail sales topped forecasts. So if the Fed wanted to slow things down, Econs come out today, substantially higher than expectations. And if anything, you could make the argument this kind of looks like a W that's trying to form here. So down, up, down, breakout. So there is a bit of a W right there on the move through 7/10. And heaven forbid this retail sales number blasts through this 2.7. Oh boy, away we go. There's your image. And if you're worried about inflation, right, that could be a big problem. Yeah. And well, and say, unfortunately, you get into one of these kind of situations where what I heard yesterday is that people's inflation expectations are rising. So the people's expect that they're going to have to pay higher prices down the road. So what do you think they're going to do with their money today? They're going to go and spend. Oh, fuck. Well, if it costs $20 today, but I'm expecting it to be $25 tomorrow, well, hell, I might as well go buy it today and start hoarding. So I have a funny feeling that that's one of the reasons why you see this uptick in retail sales is that future expectations for inflation are still relatively high. And I thought it was interesting today, the UK inflation numbers are still going absolutely gangbusters. What's really interesting about this is when I was over in the UK and I was hanging out with Stoned Ape in his pad there, we actually looked at UK inflation numbers. And the irony of it all is that we could have actually told you. So you see that this is when we did this tweet in this study, it was 9.9. So now it's above 11 here. And really, I don't see any reason why it can't get up to 13, 14% here. So even today, I just sort of said, well, it's an ugly number and it's horrible, but I don't think we're done yet. So the good part about it, I suppose, for North Americans is our inflation seems to be backing off a bit. So that's good. Canadian retail inflate. Well, actually, the reported inflation rate here in Canada today came 6.9, whereas previous expectations were looking for a little bit of an uptick. So that didn't develop. Is this sort of Mr. Larry Williams was saying if the market believes that we've gotten in front of this inflation problem and we're starting to trend down, then the market can start rallying in earnest? I get the impression that that's half the reason why we see the stock markets and such have actually turned up here recently. Probably also, too, I always tell you guys that it's far better for you guys to listen to market-based proxies than any sort of talking head and any kind of government official, and even Brian, for that matter. The market is a much better final arbiter. So what does that mean? In simplest terms, let's see if I can, I think I have it on here. Well, our short-term interest rate look, we said that the market itself is driving Fed policy. And so what are the Eurodollars doing here? This is the market's base proxy for short-term interest rates. And it looks like it's trying to bottom, eh? This would be on the anticipation that inflation is under control. But I'll tell you that retail sales number, that doesn't look good. We might see a big push in inflation data going forward. This hasn't really broken out per se just yet. Probably a better one for us to look at to actually sort of has the actual market turned is I want to find my market matrix with all the interest rate proxies. So just give me a second here. Oh, where the hell is it? Market breadth. I think this is it. Yeah, there we go. So this image right here, this should tell us a lot about whether, does the market believe that interest rates have finished going up? Do we see any M's here yet? Not yet. This is a monthly chart though, so it's still a bit early for us to like officially call an end to this interest rate increase environment. What I might say is if we drill down to say something like a daily chart, you can start to see the smatterings of tops coming in here. Can you guys see that? So this is our TLT tip spread. I don't know whether you remember this or not from a level 1. It's a pretty good market-based proxy on if the market believes we have inflation or deflation driving the bus. And the irony of it all, when I first started this education program, we were completely mired in this state below 1.0, or basically that deflationary spiral. I actually thought, according to all my analysis, that we would pivot right in here. I thought that was the end of the cycle through there. But nope, and we're all students of the market. So, Brian's learning along with all of you. Turns out we had one more big push. And if anything, this makes a lot of sense. Try and remember this for the rest of your lives. Was there any sort of big celestial event that happened right around here? And what's really interesting is it was through this whole damn thing, right? The whole health crisis. You remember Shane? I don't see Shane too much on the site anymore, but he did actually send me a new cost of production study. But remember Shane, he was talking about how, in fact, actually, that might be a fun chart to pull up. The Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunct. Remember that? God, years ago, we used to talk about that like literally every single day. I wonder where it might be. Let's see. It should be in here. Down here somewhere. Hey, there we go. Saturn, Pluto cross, Saturn, Jupiter cross. Well, let's do both. Let's see what happens. This is the, oh yeah, I haven't done that in a while. So this is, we took all 3 studies, well, not all 3, but we, or at least I did. I plotted all of these over time. When did they come in? When did they turn? Fortunately, it takes a while to set all this up. Maybe I'll do this for the video tonight. Anyway, those are all our cycles. And then if this is just one big picture of all of those, this was zoomed in. You can look at all of these individually. So this was the first one here. Saturn, Pluto conjunct, Saturn, Pluto opposition. Where's the next one? I thought I had labels on this. Anyway. So the next one. So the dotted line are opposition. Actually, maybe this one's probably the best one just to show you total. There we go. And I think this worked pretty well, I'm gonna say. So there was that image. The only problem with this, of course, is that here you had a stable monetary base. Here we all know no stability to this monetary base at all. But you can see coming out of this conjunct, whoa, big bull. Coming out of this conjunct, whoa, big bull. Coming out of this conjunct, oh, big bull. Hopefully you guys can see this. A little bit of a reoccurring theme. Well. But for the record, I don't know whether you guys have ever seen this before, so I'll throw this in the lounge. And if you want to add this to your journals, hey, this is a cool study Brian showed us today. Maybe this is something that Chris can do a public YouTube video on. So interesting place in sort of kind of human history. I have and the irony of it all is that I think I showed you, although I'm not quite sure exactly where I put it. But I think I showed you guys. Oh God, I don't even know where the hell it is. Anyway, I showed you guys an image of the Canadian housing prices and how the mortgages have like gone up like 5 or 6 fold over the past 20 years, but stocks have only doubled. So that means to me that stocks could double, triple again going forward. And so that's kind of what this is, right? If we're at 31,000, if stocks tripled, then that would be 90,000. So that takes us up into this line right here. I think I've shown you before. In fact, actually, this is an image that I talk a lot about with you guys. Let's see, I think it's in here. Yeah, it's one of these. Oh, let's start opening up tabs and see what we got, because I always mix these up. Okay, so this is now the fear greed cycle. So this is more like sort of Jupiter Saturn crosses. So with Saturn Pluto, keep in mind that's a huge cycle. This is the sort of the Jupiter Saturn cross, but nonetheless, you can see greed cycle peak, fear cycle sideways. Greed cycle peak, fear cycle sideways. Greed cycle peak. And in this particular case, right, remember here, we all were given permission by Ronald Reagan that governments don't have to balance the books, they can run deficits. And of course, now we live in a society where you're not allowed to have a recession. Everything is too big to fail. So as a result, everything just keeps getting propped up, propped up, propped up. I would actually argue that this thing should have gone a little bit more sideways, if not down, to actually do a complete reset of this. But here we are. We're now into the next greed cycle. So that fear cycle's over. And, you know, kind of like that thought of the Saturn Pluto. What does the market look like moving up? When we're both on there, sometimes it screws up. But just the question is, where did we last leave off? Yeah. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will, as I say, as such, viewers will experience buffering. Don't stress. Okay, so now it says no data. Um, I did see our little Daniele's face there. Okay, 44. You guys over on YouTube, can you hear me? Can you just post something that, yes, you still hear me? Dave over there is saying that the Rocket Man is in orbit around the sun, an orbit which happens to intersect with Earth Mars orbits. All right, thanks, Dave. Catching up on 2X, BB, I feel your frustration about social media. I think your message requires actual work to execute. The public just wants to be told what to do. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Yeah, so you guys in the lounge talking about my dear leader. This guy's a character, eh? The Matador says DB YouTube is lagging for whatever it's worth. So let's see how long it takes for them to hear me say this. I don't even know if it's still recording or not. It says that it is 48, 40, 41, 42, 43. Yes, I can hear you now. All right. Well, that's cool. So we're back. So, John, what was the last thing you heard me talk about? Was it our buddy, this lady? Did you guys hear me? Okay, how you'll appear. I do not want to create a channel. Whoops, something went wrong. Well, I'm gone now, so I hope everything's working. Is it any better now? Away we go. So I wonder. Let's. What we should probably do is put on some sort of screen. Yeah.
I see that there's excellent connection, and I've now just stopped my stream.
Okay.
So you look like you've picked up where I've left off.
All right. Now, how the hell am I going to see what the hell I'm doing here? I'm just sort of running blind. Let's go your channel, and then let's go. Do 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 do. How the fuck am I gonna do this? Well, we gotta go live. Theoretically, this should be just working away here. Let's see what we got. So OBS is doing its thing. All right, daily brief. Let's pop them back over there. And there we go. 10 people. Hey, Cotter Codes. Is that right? Or is this a different date? 11/16. Today's 11/16, right?
And it is.
Yeah. All right. Can you guys hear me over there? Let's see what this says. 16. Today's 11/16, right? Yeah. Okay. So that must be updated.
And it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're back firing on all cylinders here now. So, as I think I was suggesting to you guys just a few minutes ago, I don't know whether you heard it or not. I believe that we are in a growth cycle. I hope you got to see the Saturn-Pluto conversation that I tried to have with you guys earlier. Saturn-Pluto conjunct. Ooh, big bull. Saturn-Pluto conjunct. Oh, big bull. Saturn-Pluto conjunct. Oh, big bull. Saturn-Pluto conjunct. Oh, big bull. So we are technically in the growth phase. I think I want to tweet that out after we're done here today. Then we have Brian's fun fear greed cycles and generational influences. This is what I teach you in the level 1 program. This idea that, if you think about humans and their sort of earnings years, when they enter into the workforce, they are earning the least amount of money. When they leave the workforce, they're actually earning the most amount of money. So if you have demographic gluts in your population, i.e. baby boomers, millennials, then you're definitely going to have sort of growth and regression cycles in the market. Just the way it works. So I think, and maybe John, can you let me know, did you hear me talk about this earlier, or did that cut out? I don't know whether you guys heard that. But we have left the most recent fear cycle, the baby boomers fear cycle. This asset should have gone sideways, if anything down. The fact that they wouldn't let this happen, too big to fail, all that kind of talk. Yeah, I think that's a sign that we're sort of setting up a bit of dangerous going forward. Having said that, it looks like they've gotten away with it. Of course, here is where the banksters took over the system, and quite literally, the banksters wanted the politicians to acquiesce, and they basically crashed the market to cause them to acquiesce, and FDR came along and said, fine, you guys get to do whatever the hell you want. Just turn the credit back on, and since that world, we've basically been living in this channel here. So if we zoom in on where we are currently in this particular fear greed cycle, we are well into our current greed cycle, no doubt about it. As I've sort of said to you before, I believe that the cycle pivoted in Q4 2017. Interesting, of course, this is the baby boomers greed cycle. This is the dark study here. This is I call it the silent generation. No, what the hell do they call them? Anyway, I think they call them the greatest generation, the people that fought in the Second World War. That's their greed cycle. If we overlay Mr. Benner's warning about 2022 and 2023, we should have basically, ironically enough, right? According to Mr. Benner, the cycle actually topped right here. And you might make the argument that all of what you see here is actually phony baloney. Even though this looks like it's moving higher, remember, and I'll just do a quick study here. We could probably just use the S&Ps. Oops, we won't do it off of there, though. We want to do it. Oops, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Yeah, we can do the Dow. It's fine. Same thing. All right. So fascinating when you take the money dilution out of the equation. There is Mr. Benner's 2019-2020 cycle peak. So he was pretty accurate. But the sad thing is of course we live in this, emperor's new clothes. What the hell is real? It's kind of sad. I mean, I don't know what the real growth rate of this is. Is the money printing over? Have they finished? Is it no more? But you can see if we don't take the money printing into account, it looks like the stock market is substantially higher. But I don't think it is. Yeah, that's right, Cotter. I suppose I was going to get to that in the crypto part of the show. I was just sort of talking stock market, big picture stuff right now. Okay, so let's move on from all that conversation. What else is in the news here today? I had kind of actually tweeted it out, and this is sort of where I think right off the top I was talking a little bit about Mr. Simon Dixon. Well, I think is a relatively calm head in this space. I think he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. And there is your reference, Cotter. So another one of these crypto-related firms is in trouble. And I don't think it's going to get to the point of too big to fail. I would be surprised if the U.S. government actually gave any credence to any of these people at all. But it might be interesting to see whether BlackRock Capital is involved in any of this, or any of those big I don't even know what the hell you call BlackRock Capital. Conglomerate, something along those lines. Whether they're wrapped up in this mess or not. It is interesting to see. So Nicholas here says the Winklevoss twins is the Winklevoss, is that them? Genesis Capital? Is that them? I don't even know. Asset Management Company. Thank you very much, Constantine. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is, and I had sort of been talking about this to start off the conversation, that we are in the little semicircle part of this cycle, and this is the absolute worst part of it. And the one thing I didn't mention to you that I really wanted to mention to you, what do you think is actually a really, really good tell that we are pretty much at the bottom of the market? And no, it's not to do with 51% attack, although that would be a valid answer as well. But there is one thing. Okay, that's, you know what that is, Eddie? Eddie says cost of production. That's sort of the same lines. That's like good fundamental research. Now, maybe my question I should have asked, what are the sociological tells that we are at a bottom? And it's kind of tragic because it almost always happens. In fact, I almost never see it not happen. So if it's one thing that we all have to be very cognizant of, and actually I might even put a tweet about this later on today, what do you think is the one thing that we are going to start to see in earnest when we start hearing this kind of talk? big one, not good. Withdrawals suspended. Can't meet client redemptions. Well, okay. Hey, you got one of the words right there, Nick. I mean, this is a nasty thing, but you have to understand that this happens almost every single time right at the bottom of the market. And remember, I gave you a hint. What was this bottom called? What was the word that I used? Nobody can get this? Anyway, I guess where I'm going with this is we have to now actually start expecting to hearing talk about people committing suicide. This is very real, folks. Very real. This is exactly the type of the cycle, the part of the cycle where we need to start actually paying attention for things like suicide hotlines and stuff. And like I said, I might even put out some sort of message to that effect. I think I had sort of said that to the day traders. I have a whole bunch of these expressions, and as a stockbroker, right, I would just be spitting them out. This is what I do, right? Don't fight the Fed. As the Fed is raising interest rates, you need to understand. Right, all right. So Nicholas is saying there, he's starting to, Mr. Dixon's starting to see that. Yeah. This is definitely the part of the cycle where this kind of conversation does happen, and sadly. I mean, the interesting thing is if it's one thing that I can actually speak from authority about, is I live this life. Not lived. It's not past tense. This will be with me as long as I am ever on this planet. In the bottom parts of the cycle, and the interesting thing is Joanne had nothing to do with the market. She didn't care about the market. It's just life. But she basically took her life at the very bottom of the cycle, in the Ides of March. In fact, I would be very cognizant this coming March. That's probably when the peak of all this potential suicide stuff could come to light. So, kind of a bummer conversation. My apologies, everybody. But, unfortunately, this is the part of the cycle where I've had now been through this. I was through this here. I came into the crypto space through here. I was making reference about meeting Josh and people in London through here, and now here we are again. And this is the exact same thing. Lots of talk about people committing suicide through here and here. So unfortunately, that is another major tell that we're near the bottom, let's just leave it at that. This will, unfortunately, what has to ultimately end up happening is all of these dominoes have to fall. Now, once they've all fallen, then there's probably about a 6-8 month window where things should just stabilize. And then once we're through that, then we'll get some sort of positive catalyst. You never know exactly what the positive catalyst is. In this cycle here, it was the auctioning of seized Silk Road coins that sort of changed the conversation. We stopped talking about Mike Hearn rage quits, and people were actually like, ooh, price is moving up into the event, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. Here, of course, this was an interesting one. So much of the space was negative, and actually a lot of people through this cycle were talking about the hyperwave that Bitcoin was, and the consensus in the space was we had to go to $1,000 on Bitcoin. We went sideways for quite a while here. You know, I mean, this we dumped here in like November, December. Is history repeating itself? November, December, we dumped here. And what a coincidence. Here we are, November, December? I don't know. But the point here is once the dump was done, then we went sideways. And this is a 2-week chart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2 weeks. So that's 18 weeks. We went sideways, and that sort of finished the negativity. Then we actually had a pretty substantial rally back into Mountain Man levels, just straight up. Then, of course, we had the health crisis through here. And if anything, we were kind of given a little bit of a reprieve. Because the health crisis, it happened so quickly and so violently. It was just straight down, straight up, and like within a month or so, it was like, wow, that correction's over, back to the bull we go. And then, of course, you know, as you guys all are fully well aware of, I don't think that these next sort of cycles can actually really start in earnest until we have the halvening events, which, of course, changes the conversation completely. Anybody who's not been in crypto, for some reason, it's kind of like this same image here. I don't see anybody talking about this spaceship zooming around Mars right now. And why isn't the spaceship in orbit around Mars? Dave says that it's in orbit around the sun. I don't know who made that decision, but theoretically, when they launched it, they said they were sending this thing to Mars. I don't know what the hell going on there. I think, to be honest with you, something's really fishy about all of that. Anyway, that's just my opinion. So, point of the matter here is by the time we actually get to having conversations, we will have, ironically enough, kind of forgotten about how bad is in these troughs. It's remarkable. I've literally seen this firsthand 2 times in a row, and I don't see any reason why the third time would be any different. So just understand the context of where we are in this. And the sad part about this, and you guys all have to learn this, I don't know whether you really want to play venture capital. I don't know whether you really want to do the crypto thing. But this is actually very normal. This is so normal. And I guess, you know, like I said, the thing that really pissed me off this morning is there are people with hundreds of thousands of followers who are theoretically quote-unquote experts in this space, and they're acting like fucking like kindergarten kids. Like, oh, really? The letter D comes after the letter C? Gee whiz, I didn't know that. Well, I guess I better rethink how this whole alphabet works. I mean, come on. If anybody has half a brain, you should not have gotten sucked into this. And let's just do a nice simple poll. And this includes all of this yield farming shit too. Is there some sort of rule that you are never, ever, ever allowed to break when it comes to managing your assets in the marketplace? Thank you, Andrea. I mean, fuck. It's so frustrating. Why don't, you know, and then, you know, you get into this bullshit that when we're in the bull part of the cycle, people go, that B mission is sell half on a double and 5% rules. Oh, what a stupid idiot. And he's never going to become a billionaire. Well, do you all now understand? And please give me a collective sort of, yes, Brian, we understand. Do you understand why I have these 2 rules of investing now? I mean, it sucks. In bull markets, everybody hates my rules. In bear markets, everybody hates my rules. It's so frustrating. And yet there's a reason why I have the rules. I'm sorry. And I don't want to be the I told you so guy. But my hunch is for the next 6-8 months, it's just going to be like, I told you so. I mean, this is why I have these fucking rules. And what drives me nuts is, yeah, well, and if anything, Cole says it nicely, right? He says, well, half of the reason why TRI isn't freaking out and you come in here and people are all fucking going crazy is because that maybe you guys actually do believe some of the shit that I tell you guys. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know whether there's a heck of a lot more I can add to all of this other than just, I would. The interesting thing is this. Notice that that's April 2024. And then if we go back to our, I'll just throw this in the lounge just so you have it. If you don't have this, put it in your journals, please. But notice how if we go back to our long-term cycles, right? There is 2022. There's 2023. There's January 2024. And notice, as soon as we get out of 23, market looks like it's a lot happier. So I actually think it's beautiful. In fact, actually, yeah, this is the study that I did. I think it's no accident that we have the halvening event coming up. The 4-year cycles will have played themselves out by them. Mr. Benner will be happy. And then, to add insult to injury, if we understand and really if you think of Bitcoin as sort of a function of the money system, well, what a surprise. Here we have August 2023 is when this cycle should finally sort of trough out and we can actually get back into a happy-go-lucky state. And, once we get into 2024, my hunch is the Fed's actually starting to talk about lowering interest rates again. And if you guys didn't learn, it was exactly at this point the Fed came out and took interest rates basically down to zero. And that was your money-making window there in Bitcoin. It's really simple, folks. Do you get it? And how the hell do we get the message out to the rest of the fucking world? And what's cool, Eddie, is this will line up perfectly with your Amazon chart. It will line absolutely perfectly with this. I hope you guys get this. I really do. I'm just, I'm kind of driving myself crazy. And I'll probably do this again tonight in the crypto show tonight. It's so frustrating. These guys have like 200,000-300,000 followers and they say, wow, gee whiz, I guess I have to rethink the whole fucking crypto thing. No, you don't. What you have to do is you have to understand this goddamn market from the beginning, which you people don't. And you act like experts. It drives me crazy. All right. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so, and I'm sure there's going to be one or two people that are like, yeah, why are you wasting so much time? You could have said that in 30 seconds and moved on. Oh, well. Okay, so what else is going on in the world? Of course, as we said, political situation down in the States, big news driver. Poland actually attacked by Ukraine. Oops. The election results still sort of up in the air, and do we really like Trump, or maybe we should tell him to fuck off? I don't know. American spending boom might get less top heavy. I'm not quite sure what that's directly in result, but I am hearing that home builder stocks are starting to turn around. Of course, the Fed's not going to like this. We all know, of course, 23 Benner. And we all know a lady here is saying there is a big albatross that's floating out there that's probably going to be the catalyst that sort of, defines why 23 is shitty. And once that's done, and I think if you want to draw historical comparisons, I really like the comparison with the S&L industry. And if you don't know what S&L industry is, do a little bit of research this afternoon. Unfortunately, with that retail sales number, I can't see how the Fed can stop. I think the Fed's got to just keep going. Of course, we're going to hear lots and lots of this fallout. And as I just showed you, and we spent about 20 minutes talking about Bitcoin and Simon and all those kind of things. And I see Cotter over there said, yep, actually, I'm starting to hear about people talking about suicide. Unfortunately, if anything, do yourself a favor. And anybody that you know, crypto, just go out and just touch base with them. Look at, you know, taking your life is not the solution. It wasn't the solution for JoJo. It was a really, really bad decision on her part. She destroyed the lives of everybody that loved her in her life. She couldn't see that, of course. She was too wrapped up in her own suffering. But suicide is never the solution. Having said that, you know, when you are staring at the abyss, it's almost impossible to see your life from other people's perspective. So I can completely empathize. And hell, sometimes I feel like the easy answer is just you know, do it. But it isn't. It just isn't. And if anything, if any of you on the site are in that situation, since, you know, it sucks. I don't really like to have this skill set. But since I am a suicide survivor from the other side, maybe I can talk to you a little bit about some of the ramifications of you actually making a decision like that. Maybe that helps you say, okay, you know what, that's probably not the right way to go. So this is you know, and I used to say this, I'm going off on a rant here again, sorry. But I used to say this definitely right through here. And when I first came into the crypto space, right through here. Through this part of the market, everybody's making money. Account balances are going up. Oh my God, it's just peaches and cream. It's the easiest. This is the easiest job there ever was. If anything, now is when I actually earn my income. Where I have to sit here day after day, talk logical to you, talk reasonable, talk financial planning, talk good money management, talk the rules of investing, talk, hey, if you need support, you're feeling like you're on the edge because maybe you made a bad decision. Well, this is actually when I earn my living. And for some reason, I've decided to give myself this job. Nobody's holding this job's gun to my head. I've decided this is the route that I'm going to go. So I'm not going to shirk from the responsibility. It's really easy in the up markets to run websites like this. It's very, very difficult to run websites like this. And frankly speaking, you know, if the site participation dries up and, you know, people just aren't interested in trading, then I have to start sort of scaling the site back and dialing things down, which is, you know, it's not fun. But the one promise that I made to everybody through this and actually both of these cycles was I'm not going anywhere. As long as we can keep the lights on and, you know, hopefully what we've done here, especially with something like the breadth indicator, I'll tell you, this thing keeps you out of a lot of trouble. We've built value-added services, and actually what's really cool is it's a little bit of a shill for you, whether you like it or not. But Julian, and what I really like is all three of us are all firing on the same cylinders to try and convince you of the value of this product. But Julian just went back and just took 10%, well, not even a $20,000 portfolio, and just simply took the trades that the breadth indicator gave you a signal, and he did with like 10% of portfolio invested at the start. And what was the end result? 20% of the portfolio option stop at 50% loss. Stop moved to 0% at options price greater than 50% profit. And look at these numbers. I mean, they're staggering. So there's no doubt about it. This shit works. And all we got to do is we just got to keep our heads on straight, just keep developing, keep focused, keep moving the chain forward. I have to say, huge shout out to Joshy, who's doing a fantastic job just trying to keep TRI on the straight and narrow and pointing forward. And I believe that this kind of information, as soon as it's articulated and it's presented in a quality format that the public can digest, I think this really will be compelling and justification that TRI should stick around. And if you actually participate in this site and purchase our products, we will make a positive difference in your balance sheet. I mean, that's the whole point of all this exercise. Unfortunately, as you can sort of see from the breadth indicator right now, we actually were issued a little bit of a sell signal there just the other day. And to all intents and purposes, the stock market's kind of going nowhere. I was day trading yesterday, and of course I took 2 long setups and both of them got blown out. So way to go, Brian. One thing I do find interesting though is, and this is sort of like, hey, can I get some value out of it? Now, I do at the moment, and considering my track record with day trading right now, maybe this makes sense. But I do at the moment, where's my day trade? There it is. I do have a short on Bitcoin. So I think I've told you I have a number of bear ABCD patterns working. This happens to be off the micro Bitcoin contract, and I've got 2 bearish bots. But I do find this kind of interesting. Of course, we had the news, Simon Dixon news kind of stuff there, reporting about that firm going under. The irony of it all, though, is actually, I don't know whether this has a hell of a lot to do with Bitcoin itself or not, I think, yes, anybody who is in that FTX and all that kind of stuff, they're toast. But because these are these yield farming things and stuff, I don't know whether it actually has anything to do with Bitcoin. I gotta blow my schnoz. Hold on a second. I do like the idea, like I said there just a moment ago, the breadth indicator actually kind of, at the very least, it's sort of saying, maybe around pause. I do like when the breadth indicator breaks down like this, fast crosses slow, but the slope of the slow is still pointing up. I like that as a really nice sort of weak sell signal. Then you go back and you look at the stock market, and this is the S&P 500, so we'll go look at the ES futures. And to all intents and purposes, actually, I think that that's a pretty accurate message, right? So that signal, we had the big jump up from the CPI data. But, we jumped up here. We've been sort of sitting here for the past couple of days, and now it looks like we're kind of rolling over here. And interestingly enough, I decided to go with the Bitcoin trade today. But you can see that there's a bearish bot now working on the ES futures, or the S&P 500 futures. So move stop to scratch has been hit on this thing. If we did rally back up to this level here, I'd probably say, day trade, hop off at scratch and just come back again tomorrow. But it is interesting how, we had sort of that kind of neutral to kind of be careful signal from the breadth indicator here. And really, I think the stock market, to all intents and purposes, is just kind of floundering here right now. So I don't know how this plays out. I mean, if we roll over and we make a lower high and lower lows, M's, of course, happy faces. Now that the slope of this is pointing down, that's got to be a little cautionary. So I'd be a little bit careful about that. Now, one thing that kind of jumped out at me today is notice the crypto breadth. So most of the broader market, I mean, you can see transports, again, there's that weak signal. Teal is still pointing up, but the red is breaking down. We had the sort of breakdown here back at the end of October, beginning of November. Market's been chopping away. Actually, technically, the fast is out of the overbought zone, but still not really the prettiest picture. You can see the bond market, same sort of thing, broke down there a week or so ago out of the utilities. I mean, that's not the kind of image like, holy shit, let's go load up on the long side. If anything, what I'm concerned about, and I suppose looking at the Dow Industrials itself, that would be sort of this conversation. Is this trade basically over now? And I get the impression we're getting awfully close to the end of this trade. So there it is there. You know, you guys all know gaps love to be filled. Interesting, we rallied up. We filled in the gap. There is a candle body up there now. And basically we've done nothing on the Dow here for the past 4 or 5 days. We had our funny little CPI head fake rally, but to all intents and purposes, that's not really going anywhere. And that's certainly not, absolutely not, a new bullish signal there. If anything, that looks a little dangerous. One thing I do find interesting, though, is if we pop back on over to the breadth, you'll notice, then this is what sort of has me on pause right now about the bearish setups in the Bitcoin futures. I still think we're heading down here. And as long as this FUD sort of prevails, lower highs and lower lows defines a bear. Considering how screwy this market is, could we have a counter trend rally that comes up and fills that gap in up top before we make a new low? Hell, this could easily happen in this market state. But, you know, I've told you before, you know, half of a trader's life is to put your opinions away and just trade your setups. And really, you're only as good as how well you trade your setups. So, you know, I've got bear ABCDs working all over the place. I have 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, 4 highs, 5 highs. I got a whole bunch of lower highs and lower lows. I suppose that was slightly higher there. If anything, maybe that even makes a harmonic. So when I woke up this morning and I see this big fat M staring me in the face and we were breaking down and it happens to line up off of bought levels, and I thought this was fascinating. You don't see this every day, where we have this huge bot, right? A, B, C, D. There is the entry off of that huge one. You know, we've talked lots about having technical targets down around $12,000 on Bitcoin. And we've had tons of those kind of anecdotes. Cost of production, right? In fact, actually, I was showing somebody that earlier today. Yeah, right here. So according to Shane, the latest version of the miners, the S19 XPs, their cost of production right now is about $9,000. Wow, that's low. There is our sort of industry reference that we've been working off of recently, S19 evens. They're sitting at about 13,000, 12,000, 13,000. Here is the public way up here, and what I hear a lot in the marketplace now is the public is stopped mining Bitcoins. It's not profitable for them. They are turning their machines off. In fact, we might even have lots of anecdotes that the bigger companies in the space might also be turning their machines off. And all of the bullish setups that I had in crypto stocks, they all broke down. Everything broke down. So nothing's bullish there at all. And just getting stopped out right, left, and center. Sucks horse cocks. So based on cost of production, stabs down into that area or ultimate destination, I think makes sense. I do like the idea that we sort of stair step our way down here. So 14,000 seems like a logical step, then maybe a big counter trend rally back to the trend line. And that sets up another ABCD, which takes us down into that 10, 11, 12,000. Got lots of bearish structure here. Like I said, 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, M structure. I don't really have a problem. If anything, this is kind of why I like the bot setup and 3 lower highs. I can sit in this short and it might be underwater for a while. I mean, you know me, I don't really have a problem with that. I'll just leave the position on and just let it work. And I'm just going to let these guys here, whoever this rally was, this guy here, whoever that rally is, this guy here, whatever rally that is, I'm going to let them defend my trade. That's the whole point of the bot and having 3 lower highs. But having said that, all of you should look at this chart and go, well, Brian, you see how there was a gap here, and all they did was they brought the market down, they filled in the gap, and did you not notice that they left a gap up top here? So could we have a counter trend rally off of these lows right back up into this area, settlement here? Sure. I mean, you see the way the market's acting through this bear. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. And if we just do reload zones, and there's one guy in our day trader room, Just Ice, who I think is a pretty darn good trader, and he's just sort of like, well, you know, I think if I'm going to join this short idea, I'm just going to wait for a reload zone counter trend rally. And gee whiz, look at that. Blah. So you can kind of see there's a bit of a gap right here. Huge gap right around settlement up top. And I've drawn sort of a very fast trend line. You can see that we're fighting at that right now. I don't really have a buy signal here. Like I said, you know, all this bearish structure, I like the idea that it's pointing down. There's no reason for me to touch this. I want to just keep taking setups, keep trading, just keep working on. This is, you know, my bread and butter. I love the bot. It is what I do. And what usually ends up happening is you get frustrated from getting stopped out, that you just stop trading and you stop taking setups. And then you see a week or two later, fuck, the last 3 of them actually did work. And because I was all wrapped up in my self-pity, I ended up just letting them go. And I can't do that, right? I mean, this is the profession of being a trader, is you just got to keep taking these frickin' setups. Now, the point here, of course, is that, you know, I'm on a bit of a losing streak. Go read my log. You see it. I'm just an open book with you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you. So I've dialed risk back. Now I'm trading the micro Bitcoin futures. And I'm doing 1 lot. So you can see this trade right now, it's a big $9. Woohoo! Hey, look at that. It just went to $10. I'm rich. $10.50. All right. Do I hear $11? No. Now I'm poor again. That's the point of this exercise, is not to demonstrate the millions of bazillions of dollars. The point of the exercise about all of this is to just demonstrate what does trading setups actually look like, and what is the life of a trader. So point of the matter here is I am short. I'm short a ridiculously small amount, but nonetheless I am taking the setups. You can see exactly where I will be proven wrong, where I can move my stop to scratch, where I can start locking profits in, which just so happens to be a test of previous lows and a test of ATR, which I think is a pretty logical sort of stopping point. We have, you know, the bigger bot, and we get dumps down into here. That will trigger sort of move stop to scratch on those bigger bots, which ironically enough is the same entry level as my trade. And there is my ultimate target, that if we do run down into this level, I'll ring the register. So, you know, it's just a trader's life. Really don't want to have an opinion. I will say, matter of fact, I'm actually surprised at how many losses I've actually booked recently. But keeping the bets really small, even paper trading, just trying to get my mojo back. And the way that you do it is you just got to keep working through the market. So anyway, that's that. So I do like the idea of short. The interesting thing is we're 16,000 and change. 14,000 and change is the target. That's about, what, about 10, not even 15%, like 12%. Could we have some sort of, capitulation dump that sort of marks the end of this move? I actually think so. It's not outlandish. And one thing that sort of makes me feel like we're probably getting closer to the end of this move, although I think we're still a little bit early, but anyway, it's just Brian's opinion, is if we go down and we look at the breadth. And you can see, and you tell me, is the crypto breadth getting washed out yet? All right, take it easy, Hafed. Anyone? Has the crypto breadth gotten washed out yet? It would be cool to be able to click on this and make it like full screen. I think actually we can go up here and go crypto top 30. There we go. Boof. Oh, interesting. Now, I wonder why does that look like that? Crypto top 30 breadth. And that looks like that. That's kind of weird. Sjord! What's going on, Sjord? And what's the date? Today is the 16th. So the last date on this is the 14th. Ooh, so we're missing a day there. Sjord? Where are you, Sjord? Let's see what date this is. 14th. Oh, interesting. So it's not even reporting yesterday's data. I suppose, where's Josh? Josh, I'll PM you this. Can you help me add this to our make the breadth awesome document? I didn't even realize that actually was, it's actually a full day behind here, right? Interesting. All right, so good thing we were able to click on this crypto breadth itself. Where the hell was that? Oh, it's not over there. Boosh. I thought did I put it away? Maybe I put it away. Nope. 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 This is econs. We already talked about all that. Tweeter, lady, UK inflation. We talked about that. School stuff. Gotta say, Josh actually is working away on marketing material for TRI. And look at that. Isn't that a cool screen? If you just took key reversal signals. Holy moly. That's ridiculous. I was stunned when I saw that. Just beautiful work. All right. Let's see. Let's get back on topic. Let's talk. So interesting how this image looks like this, but then we go up to the crypto top 30 and then this. Whoops, that was weird. Let's try that again. Oh, now where the hell am I going? Okay, well, maybe we can do it off of here. Crypto top 30. There it is. Let's see what we get. Well, let's click on it. All right. Now that's interesting. That's actually turned back up. And we are oversold. Now, actually, this is an interesting question for you. Would we consider this a strong buy signal or a weak buy signal? You know what it might be is it might just be like Sjord does this caching thing. So it's probably something wrong with my cache. But anyway, you can see it. I load up the page brand new. And oh, look at that. Now it's there. Great. Is Brian going crazy? What's going on here? Something's not right. I have no cash. All right. So, okay. So let's, there you go. Thank you, Cotter. And who is it here? Nick in the Hangout says pointing down. I get the impression maybe that's a weak buy signal. Interesting how both on the crypto universe bread, that's turned back up too. So interestingly enough, this actually might be an anecdote that the news about this firm, I can't remember what the name of the firm was. It might be sort of the catalyst that people were thinking would sort of mark sort of the bottom, maybe. Maybe the bearish bots and the bearish ABCDs and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they were going, oh my God, here comes another disaster, and maybe they get stopped out. I don't know. Right. You know, maybe Simon Dixon's tweet there was the catalyst to put the bottom in the market. I don't know. Let's go see how my bear bot's doing. Bear bot, well, now I'm only up $7.50. Those bastards. There's nothing to be done here, and I won't do anything until, stops are set. Set it and forget it. Just let it work. All right, so if anything, that's encouraging. Hopefully, maybe we can get a bit of a turnaround. But good to see. Market's washed out. Like I said, I looked at this, and isn't that interesting that now that says November 15th? I'm not quite sure why my computer wouldn't show me today's data on here. Very frustrating. Anyway, Josh, I don't know if you saw this, but when we do our sheet, it's probably something we should address with the team. One thing I will point out, and I didn't get stopped out on any of these crypto names themselves. It'd be interesting to see whether they're turning back up. So we've got this bearish bot working. I'm just going to let that work. Maybe we'll check back in on it tomorrow or the next day, in tonight's show as well. And a whole bunch of these crypto proxies. Sushi now slightly underwater. Uni... I missed my fill by one tick. No, this space isn't corrupt, is it? Had I gotten my fill there, I'd probably be just slightly above water, but I'm still underwater here. But really, I mean, no major technical breakdown. I suppose that is an M top there, so that's a bit problematic. As you can see, originally I did say I was going to risk against these lows here, so we'll see how that goes. The Matic that I bought back, still performing okay here. It's interesting, you can see this is a good lesson in 3-bar fractals. So we'll know that this Matic is awesome and everything is ticking if this pattern, boom, 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 fires. So we'll see how that goes. I had my order to sell actually right up here at these candle body highs. Too bad, didn't get a fill there. No big deal. So I'm still working this trade, and technically I'm still in it. And then the other crypto that I put on was this chain. It looks pretty weak. Does not look very happy. A little disappointed we didn't break through the top here, and now we've actually broken through these lows, so that doesn't look very good. Could very easily get washed out there. So just be forewarned, if you did take that trade, I might get stopped out there shortly. So, I don't know. I don't see enough anecdotal evidence here to say, yes, we have bottomed. I see that we are definitely down against the bottom end of range. If you trade setups, then you're probably coming in and you're buying against the bottom end of range, and let's see what happens. And of course, if these floors all fall out, then you better get into risk management mode. And if you have to just walk away, so be it. It's interesting how I do have a bit of conflicting messaging there. So Bitcoin looking kind of heavy. And I actually don't mind this short idea. And my various different purchases, they're nothing really to write home about here. So with all that said, Bitcoin, actually, you want a really cool indicator, you guys. I've been just sort of watching this recently, and I think it's doing very well. But if we go, I'll just put these two crypto proxies on here. There's the Bitcoin chart, Ethereum. You can see the M's. Hopefully you understand why my justification of going short. This is a half-hour chart, so this is lower time frames, not daily charts and stuff. DeFi perp and shit perp, of course, FTX. This thing's gone now. Still trying to figure out what the workaround for that is. But this is the study that jumped out at me. Just simply taking the June 2023 contract and subtracting it from the cash market, or in essence, this gives you about a 6-month sort of backwardization contango study. And I've been noticing recently, Bitcoin starts topping out and starts breaking down. This thing starts Wing out and starting to work its way up. So I like the fact, I mean, like, considering I have this Bitcoin short on. Whoops, what the hell did I just do there? I actually like this bullish bot here on this spread. It's not really a trade. This is more like an internal indicator. And I think you can make a pretty good argument that there was a pretty nice little bullish signal that just fired there. So this is another reason why I kind of like the short idea, is that the forwards markets just don't look very happy at all. They look like they want to ratchet higher this spread, which is the exact opposite, which means that Bitcoin price itself is coming off. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to mention that to you guys. It is interesting too that of the crypto proxies out there that we're following in our universe, what does the system like? The system still likes that Matic. It's interesting how he's top of the list. System seems to like Cripple. I thought it was interesting, the broadcast that we heard the other day. I don't know whether you guys listened to that on Twitter. There's like 20, 30,000 people that was listening to it. They actually had the Cripple guy on there. And he was actually making the argument, hey, Cripple's a good quality investment. It's like, oh my God, you're kidding me. But nonetheless, you can see they brought the price back down against the original lows. You can see the W that they put in on a big reversal bar and woohoo, big rallies. So here we are. They brought the market back down to that original level. Here come big W's. I don't think that the internals are quite ready to support big honking rallies. I think we got to do a bit more backfilling here. Probably see the way this looks like. You see how we rallied up. We smacked up against the teal, the slower moving average. Then we consolidated for a week or so, put in this W, and that set the base for the big rally. So that's kind of what I'd like to see now here. Rally up to the teal, consolidate a bit, then break out, right? And if anything, this makes sense too. There is the W. Maybe they rally it up into this moving average resistance, confirm that W, just go sideways a little bit, and then we can get bullish. So keep your eyes peeled on Cripple. Because if Cripple is ready to go, you can see, whoops, it's got a bit of room to run up here. You know, we might even talk about that tonight in this show. There is some money to be made there if this thing really is a bull. So that's one that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Of course, I'm already in the Matic. You already know that story. I'm not quite sure I know what these are. WBTC, is that the wrapped Bitcoin? I don't know. Tone, T-O-N, I don't know who these guys are. No data. All right, well, to hell with you. ADA, and you know, the same sort of thing as Cripple. It's ironic that this go around, I'm actually hearing people talk about ADA as being the quality cryptos now. You got to be kidding me. ADA was the laughing stock last cycle. I mean, it just absolutely collapsed. I mean, it survived, so I suppose that's a good thing. And I find it hilarious that they're now talking about ADA as like good quality crypto. And when FTX was blowing itself up and it was dying, I heard a lot. I think on that radio podcast thing with Simon Dixon, they were saying something like 400 new ADA addresses were all created instantly as people were trying to get the fuck out of that FTX. Well, go figure. Would I consider that a buy? Not really. Does the indicators here suggest a buy? No. Same sort of thing as we talked with Cripple. What we probably want to see is the market bump up against teal, then do some consolidation, and then break out through that high. So you can see they're doing the rally back to the teal, some consolidation, and then a breakout higher, and then we'd be like, all right, hey, maybe we got something here. So they're not overly exciting, and these are the leaders. These are the strongest ones in the group. If I go over to the crypto universe, and the interesting thing about the crypto universe is it has a lot of these things like the BTC down proxy. And if BTC is tanking, what should this thing be doing? Well, you can clearly see where the big indicator W buy signal was. It was right in through here. I suppose this also is a good example, right? Rally back to the teal. In this case, it actually went a little bit above. Come back down, test the lows, then turn back up. Give me a big fat W here. And woo, big bull market. And probably, you know, this is the exact opposite of the bearish bot that I'm trading in Bitcoin right now. This would be a bullish bot, right? So if we went BTC down versus USDT, where can we do this? I guess we can do it here. BTC down versus USDT. On Binance. Oh boy, there's a fun market. I don't know, I'll go half hour chart. All right, so I think we can all see this big hunk of W. In fact, this is a shout out to David. He does great work in our TRI Secret Options Formula Club. Adam, and actually I guess Adam looks like that. And then, maybe this is Adam and Steve. Interestingly enough, if that's the case, then really there's your neckline. So interesting, we haven't even got back to the neckline yet. I don't know. Maybe you go Adam and Eve. I think any way you shake it, that's a pretty important structural level that we broke out. In fact, this right here looks like a cup and handle. So just eyeballing it, there is your cup, there is your handle, and there's your breakout. And theoretically, cup and handles, we should go from this point back up to the lip. So the bottom of the cup back to the lip. And then clone that, and then off of the handle breakout, that's our target up there. And, you know, as I sort of told you earlier, I'm short Bitcoins. This is the Bitcoin down versus Tether. So looking for that move to the upside, I think that makes sense. Might also argue too, we could do a trend line analysis. And here's probably a good example. This is probably not a good buy, but can I get a W on the other side of the trend line? I think you could argue that the cup and handle is basically your bullish pattern on the other side of that trend line. This is negated, I think, probably if we go and fail out through those lows. Then we probably do something like good old reload zones. We could probably go there to there and draw a trend line off of those lows, and that paints a nice little target down in there. So as it stands right now, I don't mind the up. If we do M out here, then that probably means that this guy W's out here and we start to firm up. But I think that this this bullish breakout here is nothing more than this. Did I get that right? Maybe I said that backwards. Sorry, try that again. this bearish breakdown here, this big honk and M and then failure, I think that corresponds with your cup and handle breakout here. So we'll see how it goes. So, you know, the one thing that I'm a little cautious about whenever I look at the crypto universe breadth is that this thing takes everything into account. So notice what's the top performing assets, and they're getting pretty strong technical readings. BTC down proxy. Well, that's not so good. And then look at this. These are all stable coins, right? These are BUSD, TUSD. So just understand that if you do get a signal from the crypto universe, it might be that you get a whole bunch of bearish proxies that are all jumping up and are all super uber bullish. And, you know, you even get these stable coins, which I really wouldn't recommend you trade. You can see how nutso they are. This is BUSD versus the Brazilian real. Probably something that we would never trade, but just understand it is part of the broader crypto universe breadth indicator. Having said that, this does surprise me a little bit. That's, if anything, what this is saying here is that the runaway bear, which is what all this was, is probably played itself out, and this has to turn back over to the downside for you to start getting uber bearish again. And considering my track record day trading of late, maybe it makes sense that this, I could very easily see something like we tank down to 50% level, hit ATR, then come violently spiking back up, and this actually makes a big honkin' W, and, you know, a nice blast off through here, and then back up we go. I could see that. So, all right. Well, anyway, hopefully that gives you a clearer image of what it is that I'm seeing in the market right now. Look at that. It's already fucking 11 o'clock. Damn. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of bullish enthusiasm when I look at these charts. I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical. Having said that, they always say it's darkest before the dawn. So maybe we're close to some sort of pivot here. Only time will tell. Okay, we'll do this whole thing again tonight, and then you also get Paul's levels and what sort of he's thinking in his group tonight in the crypto show. We'll also get a report from Ben. Ben's always fun to check in with. As you can see, it doesn't look like the stock market's overly happy. I also think I don't think crypto is overly happy, so I'm not really in a huge hurry to get uber bullish about anything right now. And of course, you see what the hell's going on in Eastern Europe. And then, as sort of a funny side note, although I don't think many people in the world really care too much, but I get the impression that Winnie the Pooh was not impressed with my substitute drama teachers talking about private conversations. I don't know whether you could call it private conversations or not, but Winnie the Pooh was not impressed with Justin's probably, we'll call it diplomatic gaffe, if you will, talking publicly about what they talked about in private. Does it really mean anything at the end of the day? I don't think so. Substitute drama teachers are not really good economists, and I don't think they're very good diplomats. They're substitute drama teachers. So ironically enough, he's just acting like a typical substitute drama teacher. So anyway. Okay. I don't know. Do you guys feel like you got any value out of all that? Nicholas says always, so that's good. They have the SEC outcome the following days could be bullish for them. The thing is they have a very robust community. Oh, Cripple? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the irony of it all, is that you might get the SEC trying to throw a bone to crypto saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to shit on you. You guys are already in really bad shape. So maybe we'll give Cripple the green light, and all of a sudden you get a big old rally. Or you're talking about ADA. I beg your pardon. ADA. There you go. That just goes to show how clueless Brian is. I'm in my short. I'm just gonna work the short. If I get stopped out, well, it's just par for the course. And of course, I'm going to be journaling, logging, diarizing, so you can follow along my journey at any given point in time and see exactly all of my personal angst right now. And trust me, I'm angsty. So there is my most recent day trade attempt. And if anything, hopefully what you see, I mean, maybe it's just that Brian's on a bit of a losing streak, but hopefully you see consistent behavior out of me. It's when you start seeing me making erratic decisions, just going, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to market buy or whatever. That's when we've got trouble. And that's when I know I've got trouble. So I don't want to see any of that kind of shit. So ironically enough, me being forced to journal and being forced to log and being forced to show you everything that I do will prevent me from acting foolishly in the marketplace. Okay, everybody, I'm going to try and stop talking now. PMA for the win. I hope you guys got some value out of that. I think I told you right off the bat a couple ideas that do interest me in the broader market that don't really have a hell of a lot to do with crypto. I'm actually quite interested in things like beer stocks. If we're going into recession, that's probably a name that I want to try and sneak in on. Well, I'll be watching for a dip back into reload zones here going forward. And I really like this long gold, short oil trade. So these were two ideas that came out of the meeting last night. Maybe if you're interested, pay attention there. I'd also say, too, sort of buy when it snows, sell when it goes. There are some really, really cheap warrants out there right now. So this is 180 Life Sciences. I don't know what the story here. But at 6 cents, I mean, gee whiz. What is it going to take to get a double? A move back to 12, which is basically this point. And, this is just classic buy when they're crying, selling when they're yelling. There's a whole bunch of these names right now. There was another one. It was, where are those warrants? Coming out of the meeting last night, we talked a little bit about these. Where the hell are they? No, where's my super cheapos? Actually, I really like these. There's an oil stock in there, but that's not what I wanted to mention. Here, like this KINZ. I mean, that's only 4 cents. I should be able to make some money there. Yeah. Let's call it, bottom fishing, bargain hunting. I don't know. There's Fox. Here's another one. I mean, this is one of these SPACs. Warrants only 2 cents. Can you get a rally back to 4 to get yourself a double? Get some free warrants? Look at this checks. This checks is only 3.5 cents now. Completely took back the whole rally. I think all of those, if you're just patient, you can come in and buy at like 1 or 2 or 3 cents. I think you could get doubles off, get yourself some free positions. I think it's totally doable. You might have to wait until the spring, but I don't mind that. Don't mind it at all. So, okay, I'll leave it at that. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. If I happen to see stuff that's doubling you out, I'll be more than happy to post. Right now, I'm just sort of just watching, especially the crypto story, watching the dust settle here. All right, have yourselves a great day. All the best. And I guess I'm the one to take us on out of here. The only thing left for Brian to say is bye for now.